G'day everyone and welcome back to Nat's Knackers Yard. I'm Nat, this is my Knackers Yard, and this is, I suppose, the bike formerly known as Rat Boy. Not looking quite so ratty now. So what have I been up to and what am I doing? Doing my head in with wiring is the simple explanation, hence multimeters and kit everywhere. Occasionally breaking into bodywork because it's kind of a safety zone. I'm sure many will be pleased to see that I have been the idea of that square ass. I liked it till I did the tank, until I saw what I could squeeze out of this bike, and it just wasn't working for me. So I've gone for the flat back. I've taken the bracket off. Where was it? Like that. Taking the bracket off. That's just straight cutting wheel. Then getting a flapper disc on and just banging those off and rattling it down, and it's pretty good. In fact, one side's better than the other, but it's nothing that can't be sorted. So I've got a nice flat back. What am I going to do with it? I have, and I've kind of discussed this in a previous video, I have two options. I either go for, and really dictated by how wide these elements are here, I either go for something on top which I can fabricate, which I can make. I've never fiberglass before, but I want to give it a go. Make a fiberglass base, make a seat, bang it on top. So I've made it nice and wide enough to cover these, and I'm going to need sides around it to go around it. So what I've started to do, and this is kind of evening works throughout the week, is the advantage of having light evenings. I've made a form, that's half of it. It doesn't, because there's so much bulk on it, it doesn't fit properly, but if I chuck it on back to front, it doesn't fit properly, but the outside will. And it effectively, despite the fact it just looks like a big toilet seat at the moment, it effectively does that. I need to find a way of raising the edge around here so I can drape the fiberglass around it. That is option one, and frankly the one that I'm kind of going for the most at the moment. Option two is my pre-made, considerably easier calf seat, which relatively easy to secure. I do have the issue of these things. Now, you can either hide them or make a feature of them. So what I could potentially do is, I do have the indicators that I bought, the flat ones. I'll just feed that one through. What I can potentially do is something akin to that. That is a funnel. Or, this is wild, I was just not thinking out loud, or something like that. I'm just threading it straight through. Now the issue with threading it straight through is these are too wide, so I might just get some smaller ones and tag them in, because I can't hide them. I don't think I can just leave them, because even if I squared off the edges and filled them in, I just think it would look a bit wanky, I suppose. I can't think of a better way of putting it. So anyway, that's option two. I haven't decided which one yet. Feel free to help influence me and drop some suggestions at the bottom. The bit that's really taken some time though is this, excuse my French, fucking electrics. So I have the current wrong. Let's go through the three generations. I have here 1x phaser ignition. Now that generation of phaser, it's a phaser 1000, I can't remember what year, I've got it somewhere, has 3 cables, well it's 5 cables, 2 main, 3 subsidiaries. That worked, but gave me all sorts of issues in terms of I couldn't get lights and I couldn't get ignition at the same time. So I then went for this one, which is a Phaser 1000, but of the correct year, which has 5 cables. The wrong 5. And the plug was orientated the other way, so I took the plug off what was the residual left there, that the hot wire was originally on, plugged it in, got it all hunky-dory. Again, could get lights or ignition, couldn't get both. So I then went and bought a Phaser 600 lock set, which is this one, with this, still got the yoke attached because I can't be asked to take it off yet because I don't know whether or not I can get it to work, which has the correct amount of plugs, i.e. 5, in the right place, and the 2. I was hoping to be able to just turn this on and crack on. Primes to pump, that's never been a problem. I think that's these two, which has been common throughout. I get an illuminated dash and I get action from the starter. I'm not going to lean on it because there's no fuel, etc, etc. But what I don't get is any lights at all. And the only reason I get ignition at all is going down to what I'm convinced is the alarm. I've jammed bits of metal in each one so that I can mess around bridging bits and pieces. I've got 6 pins on this, 3 pins on this, and originally those 2 were bridged, which is now bridged with that black wire, and the black one to this pin were bridged as well when I got it. Now, the only reason I'm getting anything at all is because I've now plugged this to an earth. Actually, I've done it to the negative terminal of the battery because it's the cleanest earth that I can reach. Because when I unplug it, you can hear what I now know is a starter relay. I always thought that was a starter relay, but that is a starter relay. That is something else. I'm pretty sure that's called a starter relay. I can't remember now, but I have looked it up. That is effective. That's controlling the start anyway. I get, when I earth that element, I get an audible click, and you can see in this case my neutral light comes on. I can't get the neutral light to turn off, but hey, yeah, so I get that. If, come on you swine, if I unplug these 2, I still get the light, but I get nothing off the button. So I'm convinced that bridging those 2 gives it, or is the starter motor. Now attached, on, happy. Now on this block here, if I give power to, where's my little clips gone? Where's my little clips gone? There we go. If I give power to, well, wrong. Out of these, I think the left hand one there is charge, so it brings the charge into that plug. If I connect that one, and I acknowledge that, you know, pissing around with live electronics isn't the greatest job in the world, isn't the brightest thing in the world. If I connect, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, calling those, if I connect 1 to 4, I get an indicator. If I connect 1 to 3, I'll get an indicator. Obviously not flashing because I'm bypassing the flashing unit here. So those 2 are, I think, indicators, which means if I then touch the others, I get a start, which is really strange. So let me see if I unplug that, touch these 2, still get a start, still get a start. I am utterly confused. If I unplug that, don't take the earth off, I get nothing at all. It's really strange. Now, if, and the reason why this other one is attached, if I plug this one in, which has got all the wires exposed, I can piss around and I can get either lights or I can get start, but I can't get both at the same time. and it is absolutely frying my brain. And I think a lot of this weekend will be spent with the wiring diagram. The advice seems to be to print it out several times and then just trace wires so you work out what goes through what, because this is completely doing my head in. But let's have a bit of a play and I'll bring you back in. What I think I'll do is I'll unplug the ignition that's set up, the key ignition, the barrel that is fine, and I'll plug in my bastardised one and show you what I get. Right, so that looks a lot scruffier, but that is exactly the same setup. So all the colours are attached to all the colours. I have put spades on some of these. Some of them are broken off, so I've had to use bodge cables. But that is wired exactly the same as the new 600 down at the back end here. So I've got a connection between 1 and 2. Hopefully not shorting or something else. Yep. Oops. Connection between 1 and 2, and I've got left hand of the triangle going to an earth that I've just bodged because that cable's not long enough to reach the negative, so I've just bodged into the frame. So get exactly the same, get the light, get the neutral light, start works. So a considerable time later, more than anything, I had stuff to do, not all of it spent on the bike. By pissing around with everything, I've blown the fuses, what? I think only 3 I've gone through, which isn't bad. I have bought a stash over the back there. Right, so what have I got? I've got rear left to a ground, so that is a decent ground. Those two are still bridged across each other as they were when I first got them. As hokey as it looks, and it kind of is, that is wired properly, with the only exception is I now have a bridge between that one, which is the blue wire, so it goes blue, where are we, it goes blue to blue. I've now got a branch off that goes and touches the brown and red, which seems to give me my lights again. So I've got lights. That's the pump priming. I've never had any problems with that. Left indicator, right indicator, random indicator plugged in there. I've got a headlight, got full beam, I've got a change in headlight anyway, whether or not it's a full beam or a dip beam. I've got still indicating, I've got a rear light. That rear light does, brake light's working. Right, now let's see if that LED one does the same, because that's what fucked it up last time. But at the moment, despite the fact I've had to do some weird shit, I seem to be in a good place. Seem to be. Right, I'm going to try that LED rear light slash plate slash brake light. Right, so we're on. I had a 50-50 on the brake light. It's a bit bright. Let's close the garage a bit. I had a 50-50 on the brake light. So which one was the brake line slash the underlight and which one was the brake? I got it wrong first time. But I now have a working brake light at the back, on the front brake. I've disconnected the rear brake because I've chucked some paint on it. Cool. Right, I'm now afraid to cough, sneeze or fart because I do not know why this is working, but it's working. And it's working off a slightly shoddy, well, I mean that's shoddy because I had to take it apart to work it out. But it seems to be working, but I fundamentally do not understand why. So I am going to hit the diagrams again just to see if I can work it out before I go nap on the solution. I don't understand why the new, in inverted commas, ignition that's correctly wired isn't eliciting the same response. to the point where if I were to plug it in, which I'm really tempted to, but I don't want to cock that up. Yeah, sorry, I'm going to have to do it. I mean, bearing in mind at the moment, I've just got a connection of a laid-on wire there. That black going into the thing there is just forming a loose connection. But it's working, so it's working. Even the fan works. Horn. Yeah. Kinda. The horn is off the lighting circuit, so let me just chuck the battery on charge, just see whether I'm toasting the battery. Yeah, so I've just plugged in my Uber charger, which is under there, which I love to bits. It's on jump. Yeah, it's not a problem with the horn, it's just the battery's so low with all of the false starts that I've been doing with it. Right, I am content. I no longer feel like I'm wasting my time pissing around with bodywork. Well, kind of am. Right, I am going to look up, and Nat, for your own look back, you've got blue back to blue back, you've got blue yellow to blue yellow, you've got black red to black red, you've got blue to blue, and you've bridged blue to red brown or brown red. Curiouser and curiouser, said the spider to the fly, but seems to have worked. Yeah, let's work this one out. Cheers all. Hold your freaking horses. I've just taken that bridge off, actually, to use that cable back in the crossover there. And it works. So that is, it's made no difference. So that is blue to blue, red to red, yellow to yellow, black and blue to black and blue. So that is normally wired. That's, excuse my French, fucking strange. Maybe it just needed a good earth. The light still works. I've just had the back of the garage down because it's very difficult to check lighting in bright sunlight. No way. I could have cracked it. Now if that works, I wonder if that's wired the same as that, so that should work. Right, fuck it, let's be brave and give it a go. Okay, so moment of truth time. So that's the new. So that's correctly wired in. Always good to hear that noise, but got headlights, got a rear light. Does it change when I brake? Changes when I brake. Does it start? Certainly tries to. Probably would if I chuck some fuel in it. Bugger me. By Jove, I think we've cracked it. Yeah, it would be daft not to try and get it to start, just to see whether or not it's sparking. I could just pop a spark plug. Actually, I've not heard this for a little while. Let's get some fuel in, yeah. Alright, so still quite jammed up at the back there. I've chucked some fuel on. I have remembered to block the darkest one, actually. have remembered to block the vacuum. Give those wrong key, wrong set of keys. Try and fill up those cards a little bit because they are dry as a bone. I'm not expecting instant success. Frankly, I'll be happy with any success. Something ain't getting spark anymore. Spark anymore. Spark anymore. Yeah, need to have a think. Wow, talk about highs and lows that this bike gives. Right, so back on with the original, with the bastardised one that's correctly connected, albeit a little bit madwoman shittish. I'm on, I've got lights, I've got brakes, I've got all the other good stuff. It makes a noise, but I'm getting no spark. So I've jammed my multimeter into my sparks. So my phone was ringing then. Got everything I need. I've jammed my multimeter into the spark to see, because it doesn't look like I'm getting any spark at the spark end, so I've gone back through, so the donators to the coils, or the inputs. So I get nothing whilst it's turning over, and a bit of a surge directly afterwards. It's weird. Right, I'm going to call it a day before I roll this thing down the hill on fire. Fuck knows. Whatever setup that I now have makes all the right noises but doesn't spark. I've tried it with the clutch, I've tried it with the side stand switch bypass on and off. I now seem to have also lost my... no, I haven't. It's just really bright. So my light still works. Well, that's fucking one thing. Yeah. So, recap. That is wired as should be and is working. This is a fucker, and I need to work it out. I have tried looking on the forums, but it's really not helped by the fact that, I mean, these are... I'm sure it's the factory immobiliser and alarm, because all of the wires are the same. They're all black. What I could do, what I might find that I'm going to have to do, is search back in the loom to work out what colour they actually are, and try and work out what needs to be bled to what. So at the moment I've got one off to an earth. I've got another off to, I've got two attached on the other side. The two, well, what I referred to earlier as 5 and 6 on the 6 block at the back there. If I put those together, it just fries any wire that I do it with. So there's something going through there. Just don't know what. I'm going to have to look that up. So all I've got there is 6, 7, 8, 9 wires. I just need to work out what the fuck to do with them. Oh God. That's probably me for this weekend, ladies and jelly spoons. I've got house guests. I've got my folks coming up to visit. So I'm not going to get a lot of tinker time, and frankly it's probably just as well, because I would just, this bike is at that stage now where I just want to destroy it. And I consider myself a pretty patient bloke. Yeah, it's super strange. The only thing that I haven't tried is trying it with the original. No, that'll do me for now. Cheers all. yeah, watch the pain of that. Cheers. I couldn't leave it there. I'm not a defeatist, and this was defeating me. So what? I've gone back to the original, I say original, to my first ignition, the 3 core phaser. Sorry, it's 5, but 3 off this plug. Core phaser key. I have played around, reverted that to how it was with the 2 in, but spliced, sorry, with the 2 bridged as they were, but I've spliced in that as a earth, which seems to have kept the ignition on. Residual issue with the backlight, I can't get it to stay on. I can't get it on when it's the engine's running. So I have unplugged it, plugged it in, bodge cable, which I'd previously done before to the light switch, before I realised that actually flipping the light on, off or full beam cocks it up. So I've just done it to one of the plugs, which is powered on when the engine comes on, or when the switch is turned on. So I've now got indicators, full beam, low beam, on off. On off I don't get a light at all, so I think I've actually randomly found the light, which is really cool. randomly found the light cluster on there. What else have I got? I'll get brake light. Again, I haven't attached the back brake, but more importantly, I get spark again. And that is happy again. Still don't understand why. I probably never will, but I seem to have some success again. And actually, a running bike off a key with all the electrics functioning as it should. How they function as they should, frankly, I don't think I'll ever freaking know. Right. I now feel, well, I said it earlier, but I now feel justified in spending more time on the bits and pieces because I know it works. What I do need to do is shore up the electrics because they have just been codged in. Right, probably not going to film a lot more this weekend, if any. You never know, I might chuck something in, keep them peeled and all of that. But rear light works, indicators work, headlights work, ignition works, spark works, bike works. Not happy. Cheers all.